Welcome to the S.E.M podcast. I'm Jack Bryce, co-host Zack Hewlett here, and today we're joined by Nathan Reid. He's joining us from Utah, and we may be joined by Rob Livingston. We'll see. That would be a treat.
That would be a surprise guest. No, he was expected.
He was.
Yeah. So we thought it'd be fun to have Nathan and Rob on together because both of them were my companions. They were companions, and they knew each other before the mission very well. So
yes.
But we're glad you're here, Nathan. And we do this. We talk about how did you end up in Scotland? Then we kind of skip over and catch up on life since the mission, and then we'll go back and we'll reflect on memories from Scotland, shared memories, and whatever you want to cover. Though this is an open forum for your sharing with our audience and just getting reacquainted with each other. So why don't you start us off with the time frame you served, where you left from, how you got your call, that sort of thing.
So it's interesting. I will go actually to Robert because Robert got his mission call before I did. And there's actually a video that my parents did right before Robert left on his mission. So he had his mission call and everything. And the video was like, man, I would love to go to Scotland. I wish that I could, and hopefully I can. And it's in the video just like that. And then, so Robert already had his mission call, and then I got it, I think it had to be like April time period that I actually got the mission call. And I was super excited because I didn't wait for my parents or anything, unfortunately. It wasn't one of those, I saw it in the mail. I was like, it's mine. And I opened it. My parents were a little disappointed in that because I didn't wait for anyone. But that's kind of how I am. And so I opened it, saw that I was going to Scotland. I was super excited. And then I called everyone that I knew. Awesome. And then I did send Robert an email letting him know that I was coming to Scotland.
So that was April 2004?
Yes. Yep. And then I went in July. So I had a lot of work to do because I had to get, a passport and all that stuff. And actually, so it's not just the passport. I had to get the visa, and the visa was a little bit like I didn't know until the day of that I had my visa.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So that was pretty harsh, and because I was nerve wracked. But then got on the plane, and there was a bunch of missionaries because I live in Illinois, so we went to Chicago, and Chicago was going from Chicago to England, and all the missionaries had transfers from Salt Lake to Chicago, and then we were all on. There was I want to say there was 20 of us on that plane.
Wow!
And I was actually with Elder Fisher. He and I sat right next to each other, and we didn't want to watch the TV because we felt bad inside because we were, elders at that time, and so we played dot to dot, that dot game.
Oh yeah.
For 9 hours, and we just talked. So it was
That's
cool.
Great. On the player night over, this just reminded me. The stewardess comes up, right, and she asked what I wanted to drink, and I think I told her Sprite or something, or and then she's like, no, I told her orange juice, and she's like, red or white, and I was like, that's weird, red or white. I guess I've never had white orange juice. I'll try that. So she hands me the little liquor bottle as a missionary. And I took it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not orange juice." So, yeah, I just remembered that. So you weren't watching TV, and I was holding a bottle of liquor.
Yeah, well, we all have our stories for the airplane ride over there. Yeah,
just remembered that.
Yeah, so I was there from July to July. So July 2004, and I came back in July of 2006.
Okay,
nice.
I loved Preston, England. That was fun. It was a different, it was a transition in food. So one of the things that was a big deal, because all of a sudden, I don't know if this is too personal on here, but I was going to the bathroom a lot more than I should, and I had to go to the doctor at the mission home, or the
The training center.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
training center.
Mhm.
And I just remember he's like, "What are you eating or drinking?" And I was like, "Well, I eat the normal food, and then I usually have this cranberry juice." And he's like, "That's your problem." I was like, "Well, I don't want any of the other things. I like the cranberry juice." He's like, "But you're gonna have to change." I said, "Okay." So I did, and everything was better. I love the Preston, England was awesome, and then the tour that we do, that was great. And then that was actually when, so we were the first people, I think, to get, and we didn't have the actual Preach My Gospel, but we had like these printouts, and it was only the lessons, and we were the first that started doing that. They wouldn't teach us the normal lessons from before; it was just Preach My Gospel.
Oh, that's cool. So you have
And
like photocopy. Here it is.
And so that's what they were teaching. And so we didn't have to go by the older stuff. It was just Preach My Gospel. And then probably a few weeks into my mission, we actually got the Preach My Gospel
Cool.
for missionaries.
That's pretty
So
neat.
that was like something that was unique. My first area was Peterhead. I was there with Elder Jump. And then I think Elder Burgess.
Burgess.
Yeah, Burgess. And then it was you. And then did I leave after you?
Yeah, you left me there.
Yeah, I left you there. And both of them were maybe Burgess was only 6 weeks because he then became his own leader, I think. And then I went to the Isle of Lewis, and I was there for 6 weeks. Then I came down and went to Hamilton for 6 weeks in Glasgow. Paisley, I was in Paisley for like 10 and a half months. I was there forever.
Oh,
And I
wow.
finished out my mission in Dunfermline.
Okay. Yeah, so Elder Hewlett's the one who replaced you in Peterhead. I was his trainer.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's why he knew those people.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got 3 glorious months with Jack. It was a lot of fun up there.
Oh,
It was freezing. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, I was there. It wasn't super cold when I was there.
Well,
Right.
you got there what, August?
No, so yeah, it was August, and I went. I was there for.
You're there through Christmas.
Yeah, I was there for 6 months. Yeah, you're right. I was there for 6 months. So I was always at places for a long time, except for my 2 6-week areas.
Yeah.
Most of my mission was in Paisley though, and I was 3 months of that was with Robert, and that was a unique experience. He's the only companion I actually got into a physical fight with.
Oh, now he's got to join.
Yeah, I know. That's when he pops in. He's like, "Hey."
Yeah, we want to hear
me.
we want to hear both sides of that story.
Well, yeah. I don't even remember why we got into the fight. I just remember the fight, and we kind of wrestled, and then we started laughing after, and things were better. I've had different companions. I had Elder Tata. I had a lot of companions in Paisley. So Mick Andrews was one of my companions. Elder Datavio was one of my companions. I had and then Dunfermline, I had a bunch too. So Rayfield was one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So after you got home, catch us up. We'll spend some time here because hopefully Rob will join. We'll go back to the mission.
Yeah, I wonder if he remembers.
That's all right. Catch us up though so you got home in 2006, and what have you been up to the last 16 years?
Yeah, so 2006 I got back. I tried to go to community college, and that didn't really work out for me as well. Then I joined the military. So I joined the Air Force, and I was in the Air Force for about 7 years active duty. I was at Dover Air Force Base, and that's where I met my wife. And then we have 4 kids. So we had that. Then I was also at Tyndall Air Force Base. So Dover is in Delaware. Tyndall is in Panama City Beach area, which is in Florida.
Yeah.
So we were there so when I went on a deployment, and this is kind of when I started making decisions. I had an experience where I thought I was going to die. There was explosions going on, and it ended up being a planned detonation, but they didn't announce it. So all of us in the dorm we had our weapons out, ready to fire, and it was at that moment like I hadn't really accomplished all the things that I really wanted to accomplish, and so I started making plans after that, realizing that I needed to change and make goals in order to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish. So when I got to Tyndall, also in Delaware, I was working like it was 5/12s. So and it was always at night. So I was like super busy all the time. I was always gone. I was always tired. So when I got to Tyndall, it was a little bit different. It was like an 8 to 5 type of job. And I went to school, got my bachelor's degree. And once I got my bachelor's degree, we moved back to Delaware, but I became an addiction and recovery counselor. And that was, I think, in 2015 at that point. So I became an addiction recovery counselor. I worked for a place called Connections for about a year and realized I do not want to be an addiction recovery counselor. And there's some reasons behind that. And I started I was a counselor for foster kids through a place called Murphy School. So I did that for about 2 to 3 years. And then in 2019, I accepted a job here in Utah as a sexual assault response coordinator for the military. So I had joined the Delaware Air National Guard. So I got out of active duty and went into the Guard, and then this position became available, and I'm now a GS-12 for the military. I'm a civilian, and I help people that are victims of sexual assault. And then I also train the airmen for the base on response and prevention. And then I educate the leaders in order to make best practices when it comes to victims and making decisions. So that's kind of my job right now. And there's some other things that, so I was also able to I have a master's degree in counseling.
Wow.
So that's
so
those are the things I was able to accomplish.
So do you work?
You have been busy.
Yeah. You work out of Hill Air Force Base then?
No, so there is a base. It's called Rollins W. Wright Air National Guard Base. It's right next to the airport in Utah. Okay. So I do go up to Hill and I meet with the SARCs there. SARC stands for Sexual Assault Response Coordinator. I meet with them on probably a monthly basis, and then I also meet with the Army SARC on a monthly basis. And we develop programs in order to help out airmen, and so they're comfortable coming forward if there is a sexual assault. Unfortunately, it's fortunate and unfortunate. So we don't have a lot of sexual assaults on our base, but when they go to other, like for training or deployments, or even TDYs, which is like a temporary duty status, where it's like usually like 3 or 4 weeks. That's where those assaults happen. And so then they come back and they meet with me.
Wow. That's important work there.
Yeah. So I've been doing that for about 3 years now. Actually it's like 3.5. In April, it will be 4 years.
Okay.
And we're doing a lot of cool programs. I just came back from a thing called Yoga Shield, which is it's yoga for first responders, and I just did that last while I was in Ohio last week. So we keep on doing things to keep us on our toes and to educate us in order to best help our airmen and also our community as well. So if we're helping the National Guard, we're also helping Utah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What ages are your children?
So I have twin girls that are 11, Haley and Peyton, and then I have a 9-year-old boy named Liam, and then a 5-year-old son named Blake.
Cool.
And they're all different. They have, different personalities. They're all hilarious. They're all very sarcastic due to me. I love them so much. They're fantastic. During the summer, they've been in Delaware with their grandparents. So they've really enjoyed that time. I get to see them on like Google Hangout and FaceTime. So that's been really good. They'll be back in August. So
Okay.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, all kids are different, and they don't come with a user manual.
They do not. I think Blake has been funny story about Blake. He was unplanned birth at our house.
Oh.
So my mother-in-law is a labor and delivery nurse, and she thought my wife was overreacting. And so she's like, I'll come over and check you and make sure that you are supposed to go to the hospital. She came to our house. I was just ready. I was like waiting for her so we could jump into the car and go to the hospital. And I still remember to this day because it caused extreme anxiety. She's like, well, fortunately, Dory, she's like, you have two options at this point. We can wait for the paramedics, or I can deliver your Blake, your son. And so he was born on our couch.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And I was right behind her holding her up. So it was a unique situation.
Thank goodness your mother-in-law came. Wow.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, she was like, you know what? She's like, I didn't even think of all the consequences that could have, what if something was around his neck? Or she's like, I didn't even think about those things. I just delivered, and it was fine. He came out and it was fine. But it's a unique story.
Oh my gosh.
That is unique, man.
Yeah. So he's our most talkative out of all of our kids, and he's the most spoiled probably too. So
all right. Man.
That's awesome. What a story.
That's incredible.
Do you still have that couch?
No, we destroyed that. So it's funny. It was on the couch and the rug, and the rug was white. And so I tell my mother, we were actually moving the week after out of that place. And I was like, oh my goodness, because there was it was a mess. Not a bad word, in the UK, but this was a bloody mess. And I am still scared to death of my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law because Robert might be on in just a second.
Okay.
They were able to clean out the rug, and you couldn't even tell that there was blood on that thing. And so I was like, dude, I am terrified of you guys now.
Wow. They could get away with the murder, huh?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was just like, what?
That's too funny.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So hopefully Robert's gone. He's like, oh no. He's like, this has been a crazy day. Are you still on? I just said, yes, get on. So hopefully he gets on.
Good.
Cool.
That would be good timing if he can join us now.
Yeah, and Robert and I have kept in touch throughout the whole, however many years from 2006 to now.
Yeah.
We've been in touch. We're pretty darn close.
You were one of my
support people.
Were you in the same ward like before your mission then?
Yeah, so we were in youth together, and we were really close. There's like Robert, myself, and another friend. We did everything together, and then he moved to Michigan, and that's where he got his mission call. And he also went to school in Utah. He had and that's his story to tell. But he was gone for a period of time. But we always stayed in touch when he would come back and visit. I mean, he came right to Freeport, which is a small town. He came and visited us before he went on his mission. And then we've always kept in touch. We actually call on a regular basis, pretty much weekly.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we also game together. We play usually, what is it called? I always forget. I have no idea. We play it on a weekly basis, but I can't even think of the name.
Legend of Zelda.
No, it's one of those shooting games.
Halo,
No, not even Halo.
Call of Duty,
Fortnite.
Something, not Fortnite. It's the other one that's very popular.
RPG.
No, not RPG either. Something Quest.
Oh, I'm not a gamer. I have no idea.
there's too many now. I can't keep track of them all.
Yeah, so when Robert gets on, he'll know because we just played it last week. But I can't even remember. Oh, actually 2 weeks ago. I just get on and we will fight and kill each other or kill other people. So that's what we do.
Cool.
Hopefully he does get on.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome though. 20 years of plus of friendship.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting on him, take us back through the mission real quick. I mean, you talked about your areas and some of your companions. What are some of your most memorable things that you can remember from? You said, obviously, Paisley, you were there for an extended period of time, long time in Peterhead. I mean, talk about some of the areas and the things that you recall from your mission.
So there's specific things that I will always say were my growing parts. One of them is Robert and mine to share. So I'll wait for him to share that one because I have to make sure he's okay with it. Because I mean, it was something kind of negative, but it was an impact for me. I would say Elder Burgess, when we were together, one of the things that always we would try to, because I hated knocking on doors. It was one of the things I hated the most. And so he would try to make it fun. And so we would talk while we were about to go knock on doors. And he would be like, he's like, prepped with me. He's like, so what is something you're going to say? And I remember, I think it was either him that started this or I don't remember who did it, but he was like, knock on the door. And I was like, hello. And he'd be like, hi, do you know I have black socks on? And, we have the name tags. And they're like, why would you say anything? What does that have to do with anything? And he was like, I'm glad that you asked. We're missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it was hilarious. I love that. And that's always been a memory for me, just, humorous and try to, make humor in a bad situation. I remember a zone conference, and I don't remember who was teaching. I think Rasmussen was actually teaching during this. But there was an elder, and I don't know who said it, but we were going over the new pamphlets that came out. And there was the restoration, and they had that picture of the girl like this. And he was like, hi, have you ever looked like this? We're from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I love that too. So impactful. I remember being in Paisley, and this was probably one of my big moments of change, or looking at it with a different perspective. I remember. Have you guys ever been to Paisley?
I never went to that side.
Oh, okay.
I was in Johnston for 6 weeks, so I was pretty close, but not in Paisley proper.
So we would go on the high street and try to talk to people, and it was always really hard for me. And I still remember to this day, I was trying to talk to people. I'd be like, and they pass by me. I'd be like, and they pass by me. And I remember finally, like, 2 members came over to me, and they're like, man, you look like a chicken with its head chopped off. And I was like, well, thank you. And they're like, we were people that were found by missionaries, and they bore their testimony to me. I still remember the impact that it had on me, because I had been, not down on myself, but not thinking of the importance of talking to these people and really making an effort. I remember after their testimony, it impacted me, and I was able to actually meet 6 new people and for Paisley, and we got appointments after that, and it was really good. So that was a very impactful time too. And then I might have gotten more arrogant as time went on. But when I got finally to like Dunfermline, I was really good with the members. And we had a very good teaching pool. And this was a humility thing. And there is one more story actually about Paisley about humility, because that's a very important one too. But I still remember the district leader. I had like 2 weeks left of my mission, and I pretty much had, our planners. I had it filled out for the rest all the way until I left. And I still remember the district leader. I think it was Elder Stewart. He had glasses, younger.
Elder Pattenden. It was Stuart Pattenden, right?
Maybe that's it. Yes.
So.
He was my district leader at the time. He's like, I really would like you to come with me out. And I was like, no. I was like, I've got everything planned out. He's like, Elder Reid, I really think that you need to come to, I forget what it was, Kincardine. I don't remember which.
Was he in Glenrothes, maybe?
Maybe it was, if it was for Dunfermline and that's the district leader spot, it was probably there.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, and I finally was just like, you know what? Fine, I'll go. And we did. And he's like, I want you to know this is not for you. This is for me. And I was just like, okay. And I was I was arrogant at the time. I was just like, I have all these plans, and I have a lot of people that we're teaching. And like every day we had, teaching opportunities. It was still good, but it was a humbling experience. Like, we had a great time together, and he did teach me things. I just was resistant. And then also another thing that happened, which was very similar, Bishop Kerr, which was the bishop of Paisley. I still remember meeting with him, and we were talking about the youth, and it was, we had been like in our different conferences, they were like, focus on the youth, because we were getting a lot of investigators through the youth and young single adults at the time. And I was telling him that this is what our plan is. And he's like, Elder, he's like, I'm going to have to talk to your mission leader. He's like, because I haven't received any revelation on this at all. And then I was like, oh. And after a period of talking to him, because I was like, but this is why. And he's like, I get that. He's like, but I'm in charge of this area. And I was like, I remember finally being like, you're right. You know what? I'm just here doing the work for you. I was like, and it was like a little hard for me to say that, but at the same time, he was definitely correct. It was a very humbling opportunity for me to just realize, you know what? I'm there for him. This is his area. He's in charge of the mission work in this area. I am a missionary. And so I apologized. I said, there's really no need. I'm just, I'm here to serve you. And I think we came to an understanding at that point. But it was a little bit hard for me that was humble pie.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Robert, you can hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Welcome.
This has been a crazy day. In short, our family, both my wife and I separately received revelation that we need to move from Arizona to Ohio. And we felt gung-ho about starting before the school started for my daughter. And then about half an hour ago, we're like, that is too quick. Financials just build up. And so we're probably going to be doing it in December. Nathan doesn't even know this. Haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. But anyway, but yeah, sorry I'm late.
That's a pretty good excuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So let's see. We'll go back now to your story, Robert. All right. So Nathan told us you'd moved to Michigan. That's where you got your call from.
Mm-hmm.
Any story to go along with that?
Yeah. I opened the mailbox, and I was the only one there, and I broke the law immediately afterwards. Is that I drove probably about 95 to 100 miles per hour going into town, trying to find my mom. It was just a very tiny town in Bronson, Michigan. And so I'm sure I would have gotten put in jail or something like that at the time. But anyway, it was Edinburgh or whatever you call it. I can't remember what the name, what I called it, but nobody could pronounce it. So that was the story for it.
So you hunted your mom down and just like you and
I
her?
couldn't find her, so I just because she wanted me to open it as a family. So
Okay. That's cool. And then what time frame was that?
gosh, I think it was around April of 2003. And so
Okay.
I left in October.
Oh wow. You had to wait a long time.
Yeah, definitely compared to today's standards as well. It's
That is
you
true.
get a call and then they just ship off. But anyway,
All right. So you went to MTC in October of 03.
Yep.
All right. And let's see. Was that like Sprague? Was he in your group?
yep, Sprague, Vertigum,
Okay. McAndrews.
yep, Elder Leonard.
Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some funny stories there. I guess the Matrix was pretty popular right before I went out. And at the time, I don't know if like the newer missionaries a couple of years after me, but they asked us to wear trench coats to Scotland. And so we have all these pictures of doing the Matrix, like in the hallways of the Preston MTC. I look back on it, I was like, oh, I was just a little boy.
That's funny.
Cool. So we'll skip over the mission for now, but catch us up on what you've been up to since you got home.
Yeah, so life is a little crazy, crazy but good. I wasn't very public about it, and I actually didn't completely know about this, but I have bipolar, and it actually manifests when I was in Scotland. And so it's been a rocky journey. I came home, went to BYU, Idaho, majored in business, and then I've actually been married twice before my current wife. And so it's been all over based off of that. Despite that, I've had some cool experiences. I've worked with corporate Walmart, CVS, Office Max. Fast forward to where I'm at now, about to accept an offer with Amazon that I start in a week. So,
Oh wow.
so a little bit of everywhere.
So studied business, and that's what you've been doing though with each of those companies.
Yep.
Great.
That's awesome.
And that's going to take you to Ohio?
No, the job is actually fully remote, and so I can go anywhere in the country.
Sweet.
So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I missed you in Arizona. I was in Arizona from 2018 till last year, and I moved to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the pandemic, we never met up.
Exactly. Where did you live?
In Buckeye. So way over on the west side.
Okay.
Like far out.
I'm in Mesa.
East LA is kind of where I lived. So
oh wow.
East
middle of nowhere.
Way out there in the desert. Yeah. But I had to move to cooler climes.
Yeah, it's pretty hot down here.
Yep. So great. Wow. And where have you lived during that time?
Gosh. So obviously Idaho for school, and then Arkansas, Illinois for 2 different jobs, Walgreens and Office Max. And then I went to Wisconsin with Kimberly Clark. That job took me to Massachusetts, and then all the way here to Arizona to meet a girl and to marry that girl. And I say on my resume it's because of Arizona State University, but it was really my wife now. But anyway, and then
you do grad school then?
I actually did at some point, but I didn't get all the way through. So
I dropped out of ASU master's program too.
Yeah, it was right during the pandemic, and I was like, this is not going to work. So,
all right. Okay, so now we can go back to the mission. We heard Elder Reid a little bit, but give us the rundown of what areas you served in and who your companions were.
Yeah, I went to Huntley first. Elder McNee was my trainer. I was actually looking through my, I have every letter I sent home from Scotland, and so it's kind of a cool journal to have. But there was a couple to President Vriens that I said from President Livingston. I was so cocky that I was going to be in the branch presidency up there. And so then I went to Johnston. That's right next to Paisley for about 3 months. And then with you to Dumfries for how long did we serve together? 3 months, six weeks?
You and I were 6 weeks, and then Osmond came in.
Yeah, and that was an experience right there. We could get to that later, but when his dad came to the mission, I was right there with him the entire way, and went to the concert with him. I don't know how missionaries got allowed to go to a Donny Osmond concert, but it was really fun. What I would say about that experience is how humble that family is. You kind of wonder if how pop star that somebody in that position would be, but they're very humble and just a nice family to be around.
Yeah, we actually talked to Brandon last night. So
awesome.
You'll be on here, and he was asking for you to be on here, and we told him he's up. So it's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, he's your guy. Then I went to Shetland Islands with Elder Parmenter. And then where did I go after that? I went to Paisley. And gosh, I can't remember all the companions. I was there for about 1 year and 3 months. And so Nathan was part of that. Elder Littlefield. I will have to look at my mission papers. It's been such a long time. Like there was Elder Wright was one of them. And so I trained him. Gosh, I can't remember the rest. So I'm sorry, elders.
It's all good.
And then I went to some area with Elder Percy. I can't remember what that one was either. So I wasn't there very long.
It's only been 16 years. I mean,
I know.
All right. So thanks for sharing all of that. And it's interesting to me too, your bipolar diagnosis and having to experience that on the mission. That's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, it's I would have been a lot kinder to myself out there, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It's easy to missionaries beat themselves up because they may act one way on the mission, and then they feel like that they carry that for next decades of their life, and that doesn't make sense at all. And for me, I carried that for a good 10 years at least. I was like, because I actually went home 2 weeks early. I don't know why I didn't wait for 2 weeks just to get on the plane with everybody else, but it was my time. And that kind of haunted me for a little bit. As far as am I worth it? Did I do a good job with the mission? I didn't go up to Pratt's Hill at the end. And that was hard. But what I would say is that every single missionary that was actually on a mission, I mean, that's an amazing story that they got out there on the mission. And so you never judge another missionary or what they went through because you don't really know their story. So,
yeah.
Agreed.
Hey, Robert, I was going to ask you if it would be okay if I tell the story that we talked about recently in the last, I would say, year, where we both had different perspectives of that story.
Yeah.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you okay with me sharing that?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
When we were in Paisley together, we had Robert received news of a girlfriend, and she had moved on to other people, and so she broke up with him, and he was pretty down, and we didn't know at that time about bipolar. He thought, kind of knew about depression, or we thought it was depression at that point. But he was down, so he didn't really want to do anything, and interviews were coming up. And one of the promises that we kind of made to President Vriens, because we really wanted to serve together, is that we would be the best in the mission, with investigators, everything. And I still remember meeting with him after, and I was just like, we're not living up to our what we said we were going to do. Because he was already talking about me and him staying together for another 6 weeks. And he's like, so what would you have me do? I was like, I don't know. It's really up to you. I was like, it's not going what we had thought. And he's like, okay. And then I left, and then Robert went in, Elder Livingston, went in and met with the mission president, President Vriens, and then came out, didn't look at me, didn't talk to me. We left right then. And then we went on the train, and he didn't say anything to me during the train ride. And then we went to our apartment, and he was quite there for a period of time too. And then finally he came out and he's like, "Do you know what he said to me?" And I was like, "I have no clue. I'm sorry. What did he say?" He said that I was just like those that crucified the Savior. And I was like, "Oh crap." I was like, "Okay." And so Robert thought that it meant that he was, this horrible person. Well, that's what he explained to me later on. And I saw it from a different perspective. I saw it as, so of course, when Christ was crucified, those that crucified him, the thing that he said at the end is, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I was thinking to myself, if we really knew who the Savior was, we probably would be doing things very different. And that's what I was thinking. That's what he meant, is that not that you're a horrible person, but you really don't know who the Savior is because you're acting a certain way, or you're not giving it your all. And at different points in our lives, I think, or all the time, depending on who you are, you don't know who the Savior is. Because he's just like that, forgive them, for they know not what they do. If they knew that he was the Savior and he did all these great things for us, then we would be acting totally different. And so it was just a different perspective, but it was a huge big deal to me. It changed my way of thinking when it came to the mission. And then, it was like, a year ago that we talked, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
This whole time I've been thinking that it was because I was just this horrible person. I was like, "No, you're not horrible." But literally, it's just you didn't know who you were at the time, or you didn't know your connection to the Savior, which is a totally different thought process. So that was a big, also, it impacted Robert, I think, but it also impacted me by him sharing it. And we probably should have talked about that a long time ago, because I've used that in talks multiple times since then. I thought that I had already talked to Robert, and I talk about a whole bunch of different things. And so that one was just missed.
Wow.
But it was a big impact. And the funny thing is, when I moved here, I was able to go and see President Vriens. And have you guys talked to President Vriens in the last few years?
No.
I don't know if I should share this on, but he's a little bit different. And talking to him, he can't remember any of the things that, in the mission. But I was telling him of, that one experience. He's like, "I said that?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, and he can't remember right now. And so, but he appreciated me, reminding him of those things. But because I was just wondering what he thought about it, but he can't remember. But it was also just nice to see President Vriens and Sister Vriens. It was right before, so I got to see him at his store, but then I went into the reunion as well since I've been here. We haven't had one since the pandemic, though. So hopefully in April we'll have another reunion.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting how time too changes our perspective of things. One thing I was remembering, I was thinking about you guys, our companionships and the experiences that we had. And Robert, you and I had a falling out at one point. and later in the mission, you came to me and you apologized. And I think I returned the apology. But at the time, it meant a lot to me that you sought me out and made that effort to apologize, even though it was a silly thing at the time. And like looking back, just a blip in the mission. But that was a good example to me of seeking forgiveness. that has impacted me since. It's one of those examples that I have in my life of that modeling that behavior and that attribute. So, and then Elder Reid, I remember just teaching you to drive and being terrified for my life. Drive
I do
standard.
that. I mean, now I know how to drive a manual, but you were like the first person who was trying to explain it to me, and I was like, I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
Were you with me when there was a shotgun behind us? Was that you and I when we went to a small little town, and all of a sudden we heard a, and it was like a boom, and we just got out of there?
No, the only experience we had like that was, so I was teaching you to drive, and somebody's like, oh, you should go to this abandoned airport over here, and you could use the runway to go, make passes while you're learning to shift. So
Yeah.
good idea. We went out there, we did our passes, whatever, and we were pulling out, and the guy stopped us, and he's like, who are you? What are you doing here? This is like DOD property. And we're like, sorry, we were told it was abandoned. And he's like, no, this is the property of the Queen. You got to get off of here. And that could have impacted our careers, because you've been in the military now, and
That's true.
I've had jobs that require clearance. So
Yeah.
it hasn't come up on any of my background checks. Probably somebody's going to listen to this and recall up my investigation. But.
Jeez.
I remember you got along very well with the mission leader, because you were from Arizona and that's where he wanted to move. And I do remember that unique bond between the two of you. And then I remember, do you remember my Nerf guns with the laser points? I think we took a picture together with them.
I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember specific, but you were like in the beginning of the mission for me. Like,
yeah.
It was, Peter Head was like, it just felt so long ago. I mean, even like after, when I was in like Dunfermline, it just seemed so far, how time flies.
Yep. You were my companion at the point in the mission that I was the companion to Livingston at, the third transfer in. I was still figuring things out.
Yeah. I think, Jack, you actually, I was driving quite a bit, and you didn't want to drive through the Dumfries Mountains at all. So I don't know if you remember that at all.
It's like rally track down there.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I had to drive eventually, but yeah, I never got my license. And you were getting your license at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That actually helped me be a better driver, sitting in on your lessons.
That was actually that guy. Was it the older man that was teaching? Yeah. To this day, I still remember, like, I wish there was a way of sharing the gospel, because he took the missionary discussions, and then he actually took us to the Lockerbie explosion cemetery.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that, or was that a different was that with Elder Osmond?
That must have been with Elder Osmond. I remember going, like, tracting that street in Lockerbie that, like, I'll never forget, right? We're tracting the street where that explosion had happened. This side of the street is all brand new houses. This side of the street's all the older homes, like 200-year-old homes.
Yeah.
And people on that side of the street, one of them I remember said, I don't believe in God. I said, why not? And she pointed across the street and said, if something like that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, this is way different than anything I've experienced. So yeah, but you and I taught Jane and baptized her within that that short time, 6 weeks, because I think I found her the week before you came, and was very enthusiastic about following up with her. Called her, she's like, yeah, I've been reading the Book of Mormon. And you were kind of like, I've heard this before. we gotta drive 2 hours down there.
And she, like, we were like, okay, what did you read? And she's like, well, I got the second Nephi. And we're like, whoa. And it's funny, that sometimes taste trigger memories. And there's that baguette. I'm not saying that right, probably, but that store that had chicken salad sandwiches. And every single time I eat a chicken salad sandwich, I think about you, because we usually, like, every time we drove all that way out to see Jane, we got one of those chicken salad sandwiches. So
That's right. It's like the po' boy.
I have to ask. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, so you were talking about sandwiches. Did you guys, after I left, did you guys continue every single time we went to the district meeting in Aberdeen? Did you still go to that Italian place and get the food?
The pasta and pizza?
No, it was like a calzone.
Calzone.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yes.
we did that a few
how they
times.
would feed the missionaries. And so we would go there for lunch after district meeting, and then they would just give us, a lunch. And it was fantastic.
That was awesome. It was a legit, like, Italian meat shop.
Yep.
Restaurant place.
No, I learned to love calzones because of that. That was an amazing place.
I don't think we did that too many times when I was with Jack. I think maybe 2 or 3 times, but
okay.
It wasn't every time, because I'm sure we would have been rolling around Peterhead as opposed to walking.
That's true. Well, I mean, I know that they really appreciated it, and they weren't active. They didn't come every week. And so it was a good opportunity, and they loved when we came by. And so it's a pretty cool thing. And Peterhead was a very unique place as it is. I remember, I don't know if they changed the rules when you guys were there, but we used to play football on Saturday mornings with the ward. They would have football, and I was always made goalie because, well, 1, I'm American. 2, I wasn't really good. But there was one day I was playing, and something amazing happened, and they're like, what happened here? And I was just like, I have no idea. Maybe I've just been playing so much on Saturdays that one unique thing happened. But that was the only time it happened on my mission. I was able to do this thing. I kicked the ball up, and then I turned around and I kicked it in. And they were like, what the? And that was the only time it happened, because when I went to Dunfermline, we played a lot. I was always goalie.
That's pretty funny. We didn't do that when I was there. Maybe
No.
Jack had tightened the reins a little bit because he had a greenie.
There was a period of the mission where they outlawed playing.
Yeah, I do know that.
Full
I'm trying to
pitch
remember
football. It might have been during that time. I don't know. Or I might have just been tightening the reins. That sounds about right too. No football. We're going chapping.
Yeah, we're going. We're going knocking on doors.
That was because it was at that point in the year, it was dark at like 5:30. So playing at night, you had to be under the lights or it was useless.
Yeah,
that's true. But we always played in the mornings. That was like, it was mornings in it was at Fraserburgh.
Yeah,
that's where we would play. We would go up there.
I know they let us play again towards the end. I got to my last area and I decided, I'm like, I'm tired of slipping around. I'm going to buy cleats. So I went to the local mall and found, like, my shoes are huge. So I was lucky to find a pair of rugby cleats, and I purchased them and I got them home, and Elder Noble was my companion at the time. So that night we're going to go play. And he's like, you won't be able to wear those. And I was like, why? He's like, it's an artificial turf field. You watched me buy these.
But he was Noble. Oh, I love Noble. So he came out with me.
He was in your MTC group.
Yeah. And I still remember he was the one that fell asleep in the praying position. I still remember waking up, and I'm like went up to wake him up, and I looked, and he's still like in pray position. I was like, oh man, Elder Noble. The nicest person ever.
Yeah, definitely. So, Robert, tell us about, one of the experiences you had on your mission that's kind of hung with you, that's kind of been defining for your life since.
I would say with Elder Osmond and his dad at the concert is that they had us come out early before the concert, and as we walked out, there was the entire the tattooing area right there with the Edinburgh castle. Like all these fans just started clapping, and I was like, so that was a little bit interesting right there. But as far as defining, trying to think of like a specific experience, I would say with you and Jane Wheatley, like just how strong that spirit was there. And I really wish that I knew where she ended up, because I would love to stay in contact with her.
Yeah, me too. I lost contact with her by like during the mission. She went kind of AWOL. So.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, I would love to know where she's at now.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And one thing I thought was interesting. So you're very musically talented. People listening might not know that, but you can sit down at a piano and play whatever. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were companions, your goal was to be a composer.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone into business now.
Yep. And I guess that's the other defining moment, and it goes back to that concert that I was with Donny Osmond and Elder Osmond. Is that I had this very soft whispering when I was with all those fans. I was like, this is not what you want to do in your life. So, because I was going gung ho towards either being a band teacher or trying to be one of those like Hans Zimmer movie writers for it. And I realized I was not going to make enough money to feed my family if I was a band teacher, and then I was not talented enough to make music for movies. So anyways, that's where I went to it.
Okay. Yeah, you still utilize your talent though.
Yeah, I still love it. Yeah.
Good. That's great. So tell us another story about one of your companions. Like, it's pretty unique. You get to serve with one of your best friends.
Did he already play about the lightsabers?
Nope.
No, I actually didn't talk about the lightsabers. I talked about when we fought together, but that was it.
So there's two stories with lightsabers. Did you tell either story, Nathan?
No, I haven't said a word about the lightsabers actually.
Okay.
But
so,
I know he did get to see the lightsabers when before I left Peterhead. I had both the red and I think the blue lightsabers.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know if you have the ability to load up videos onto this podcast, but there's a pretty epic sword fight or lightsaber fight with Elder Reid and I. We had a member in the ward that was really into technology and special effects. So
it's the commercial for the video, though.
Yeah, and so the video is just going sword fighting on with lightsabers, and the actual lightsabers coming out of our fake ones. But Nathan actually took sword fighting classes in college, and so I didn't know what I was doing. I was going berserk like that, but Nathan's actually twirling
a few times.
And then the other story with lightsabers is that we had a ward activity that was right by the ocean, and we went to Nathan and I climbed up the castle. We didn't see the signs, or at least I didn't, that said no trespassing. And we got to the very top, and we just had this lightsaber battle, and I have pictures to prove it.
So. That's awesome. We definitely have the ability to share that.
Okay.
So
that might actually be a fun thing, is to have like a collection of pictures from people all over the mission. And I don't know if you have storage to do that on this website, but that'd be pretty cool.
Hey, Robert, can you send that to them? Because I still have to download that to my actual computer.
Yeah.
Did you download it to yours?
I didn't download it either, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Chris Stewart is the one that created it. He is a member of the Paisley Ward, and he was fantastic with missionaries. And we had we had a lot of fun. So he created it because they were doing a ward, like a film thing competition for the different wards in Glasgow. And yeah, so we were the commercial before their video. So nice. It was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Missionary lightsaber duel. Love
yeah, it was a good time. I still remember filming it. I mean, yeah, and I'm the Sith and he's the Jedi. So
I was a pretty lame Jedi.
There was, he looks like he's conducting.
I would imagine you're better than Mark Hamill. You'll be fine.
Oh, you probably not. But yeah, I mean, we had a good time. We definitely had a good time. And he did a good. Craig did a great job editing it and creating it. So he had a lot of fun. It was his idea, actually. He saw the lightsabers, and we had them, and he's like, "We should do like a video type thing." It was really him, because we would have been down. So cool. But we had a good time. Yeah, I didn't talk about the lightsabers at all. Or another fun thing that we did as companions is there's a waterfall in the Braes. Was it the Braes?
Mm-hmm. It was between.
Yeah, and so sometimes we would wake up super early in order to do companionship study there, right by the waterfall. Because, dude, if there was a leprechaun, that's where it would happen.
Yeah.
That must have been a thing with you. That must have been a thing with you, Robert, because we would go like early down to Jane, right? But we'd stop and have study in the forest, like the beautiful forests of Scotland. Yep. I think you even had a deer jump over you once, which is pretty cool. But
I have bad memory.
If I remember right, you came like running down the mountain, like, dude. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Scottish countryside is pretty unbeatable. Really.
Yeah, it's incredible, especially when you live here in Arizona, and it's completely opposite of that.
Yeah, that's where I came from to the mission, so it was totally opposite. Cold, wet, hot, dry.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you ever been able to talk to missionaries that were like in England, or is it just people that you were companions with? And
we haven't had an English elder on yet. We spoke to Elder Aurelio from Italy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bautista from Sweden.
Okay.
So we are. I mean,
I love Bautista.
We're
He's
inclusive.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, we're scheduling people though. We've got Doug Poland's on our radar.
Okay, Conway's
on there. Yep.
So Rayfield was one of my. I mean, I love serving with Rayfield. He's got one of the greatest British accents ever. He just should be on radio. So I will always love that brother. Because he was just fantastic. So
who else? Who else do you guys want to shout out? We should have on.
Yeah, that's a good segue.
Boston.
Boston would be good. Yes.
Boston, yeah.
Lineker. I love Lineker. It was another one. And Moroni.
Cardenas.
Yes. Trying to think of others. What? I can't remember his name. He's got red hair. He's in England. He was an office elder.
Red hair office elder. I'm trying to remember from England.
I want to say he's from Manchester, but I don't. What?
I was just going to say we've already covered all the redheaded English people that I can remember.
I know. He was big to help people from Ukraine.
That's Poland. He was an AP.
Yeah, Doug Poland was one of the assistants
and he's been
midway point of my mission. So yeah,
maybe it was Poland. I know that he was an office holder. I don't remember him being an AP.
We'll verify.
But he came out before I did.
Elder Vertigum would be cool to have on here as well. I don't know if he's on your
and
slate.
His wife.
Yeah.
We have reached out to both of them, and Sister Vertigum said, let's see what we're getting into first. So we're laying the groundwork with this podcast right here.
Yeah, we've had a few
Well, and
people.
some of the sisters would be nice to like. She's also a redhead. Like it's Abri is her last name. I think that's her married last name though. And then the Australian sister,
Sister McGowan.
Miss McGowan, yes.
Mm-hmm. I reached out to her today. She's thinking about it.
Okay, and she would be fun to hear how she's been since. And there's a lot of English sisters too that I don't remember all their names. But there was a lot of them.
They're on our radar. So we have spoken with Sister Cooper, if you remember her. Her episode is forthcoming as we're talking.
Okay.
But yeah, she's called out all of her companions.
Okay.
Sister Malin, Sister Kenny.
That Kenny I was thinking of.
Sister Heap.
Sister Heap. Sister Bautista. I mean, there's a number of them. So
yeah,
we're working on them. The sisters are a little bit harder nuts to crack at this point in time.
I don't know if he is like active right now, but a person that I would love to hear from at least is Ford, Elder Ford.
Okay.
Blonde haired. He would be a good one.
Would be cool as well. He was a good guy.
Elder Stout.
Yeah, and both Maces. Christopher Mace, both of them.
I have confirmed with the leaner Chris Mason. He's up for it, so he's a future one. I have not talked to everybody called him Big Mace on the mission, so that's a future one that.
Okay.
So yeah, they're on our radar.
Elder Parmenter would be great as well.
Yep, we've contacted him.
Okay.
If you want to nudge him.
Yeah,
I can reach out. So Rayfield doesn't have like a Facebook or anything, but his wife does. That's how I contact him. His wife will talk to him.
There we go.
So
So just send them to the website, 51spylaw.com,
Okay.
or they can email us directly, SEMpodcast@51spylaw.com.
Okay.
And yeah, we'd love to get
He
everybody.
might not, but I think it would be good. I think it would be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I mean, it's one of the things I was actually when we had the reunion, because for our reunion, there was like 5 people for our period of time that were at the reunion. It was Nielsen, myself, Osmond. Maybe there was only 4 of us, and there was another guy that was before my time. And we were like, how could we get people to participate, especially since the Vriens, I think they have dementia right now. So, and one of the thoughts was we have this opportunity now because of the pandemic. We have, teams, we have all these different places that we can do video chatting, and we can even put people into small groups, and maybe instead of having this huge reunion at a place, we meet England halfway and we do something where we can talk to those that were that we knew in the field together, and do something like that. And when we have the opportunity, we have the technology to do it. We just need people to set it up.
Yeah,
was Ross Ballack the name you were thinking of, who was an office elder?
Ballack. No, it's. I thought it was like
he's kind of redheaded.
No,
he's
this one is
more,
definitely he's a ginger. This one is definitely a ginger. Let me look and see.
I'm betting it's Poland.
It might be Pollock, and I just don't remember.
That's all right. You figure it out.
Name.
You can email us the name too. We'll hunt them down.
Yeah.
through social
absolutely.
media.
And I will, because yeah. So I don't even know if I'm friends with him on.
That's all right.
And it's not, my companion was Bergen, not Burgess, Bergen.
Bergen.
So I apologize on that one.
Oh yeah, I remember Elder Bergen.
Yeah. Bergen.
Elder Reid, so you were in Dunfermline. Did you serve with Conway there?
I never served with Conway, actually. So we were in the
okay.
same, we came out together as well. So I was the district leader when we were in Preston, England, at the MTC. And so he was in my group. We had a great, so Fisher and Fish were both in my MTC. Fish would be another one. I don't know if you have had Fish. He's and Rasmussen.
Yeah, we've reached out to Fish. I haven't hit the Fishers yet, but and Elder Bird. Yeah, that's another one on our list to reach out to. It's amazing as this has started and as we continue to talk to people, like it just continues to balloon of all the people that we remember and the people we want to contact. And so like your concept of what you're talking about with regards to trying to connect everybody, I think that this is truly a great platform where that can happen. Yeah. And Jack and I have talked quite a few times in regards to the concept of, similar to what we're doing now, where we'll have a companionship on that we have connections to, or vice versa. If it's just two companions that want to come on and reconnect, we want to just be flies on the wall in these conversations. And then this web just continues to grow and we'll all be connected in a further way, which I think we're really laying a good foundation for what's to come.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a list of people that are on the Scotland Edinburgh Mission reunion page. And the other person out, Draco Cardos, that's a person that I would love to be able to, and Batavio, I'm trying to look and see. I still don't see him on here.
Do you know what?
You know what? It could be Pollock. It could be him. I could just it could be him. I'll look it up. And
a member on President Yates. He's still very active on Facebook.
He might be someone that you could talk, because he was in the
Johnston area, but he was the mission presidency.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yates would be
cool.
a good person to talk to. And he would be down, and then you would have the Scottish accent as well.
He's one of the most active people I've ever seen in the church.
Yeah,
that like he goes out to these city like first aid things or all these different initiatives, and he brings them into our church, and he's very outspoken for it.
The first day I got into Paisley, Robert and I went and we were helping with we were helping this. It was a shop owner, right? We were redecorating their
it was a charity shop.
Yeah. So Robert accidentally, and you should have saw President Yates' face, but Robert accidentally dumped a whole bunch of paint on the floor, and he was like, you could tell that he was angry, but he was like, it was an elder, so he was just like, Elder Living, what did you just do? And he was like, please just go. Just go.
Before that, he was so careful. He was like, don't put a drop on the floor. And then Target comes off.
Wow.
I felt really bad for him at that point, because he was super nice about it, but you could tell he was devastated. And it took a lot of patience and a lot of suffering to get that paint out of the carpet.
Wow. Yeah.
It was great. But there was always unique opportunities to laugh. So have any of you ever gotten sick during the mission and had to call Sister Vriens?
I think I was the only missionary who didn't register with the National Health Service. And Sister Vriens was very upset about it, but
So
I
I'm
never-
sure she was.
I never got
I-
sick. So
I did. So there was a day where I got super sick, and like all of a sudden, like from my chin to my neck, it just became one. And I remember calling her, and I was like, these are my symptoms. And she's like, Elder, I think you have smallpox. I was like, what? And I was like, how do I even get that? And luckily it was not. But they just gave me penicillin, and I they sent me on my way. Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
so eventually it went away and stuff. But I would just remember I was super, like, my throat was sore. I was just not feeling well. It was
Smallpox.
but I just remember talking to her, and she's like, Elder, I think you have smallpox. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I could see her typing in your symptoms into like WebMD and then coming up with something random. Thank
Yeah,
you,
it was.
Dr. Vriens.
Yeah, I also remember remember when we got the stretch bands?
Oh my gosh.
I remember talking about fitness, and she's like, Elder, what do you do for fitness? And I was like, we don't do anything. We walk around knocking on doors. And she hit me in my shoulder. I was like, oh, I was like, wrong answer.
Yeah, Sister Vriens could do laying on of hands at times.
She could. And it wasn't like a tap. She was just like, Elder. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. She could. She had no problem hitting you on the shoulder. It wasn't like a fist, though. It was a smack. So no abuse.
No.
But she didn't like my answer. But I think those were taken away after someone got snapped in the eye.
That's right. Yep.
So then they were gone. No more bands. Good idea for a period of time.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure in Peterhead we never did any fitness stuff.
Nope.
No.
Jack and I tried my first 6 weeks, if you remember.
We
would wake up and isolate ourselves in the I'm recollecting this perfectly. I was in the bedroom and you were in like our changing room where we had like the wardrobes. And I don't know what you were doing in there, but I was like, okay, cool. I guess I need to work out. So I was doing push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. And who knows, you could have just been jumping around and pretending, but I was like, okay, well, I need to do something.
I just
So
play on the tape recorder and read some more scriptures, probably.
Well, it tapered off in the next 6 weeks, and I was like, okay, cool. We don't have to work out. I can go eat breakfast right now and not wait for a half an hour.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever go without like heat because you forgot to pay that card thingy and go downstairs and put it in?
Not for long. No.
Okay, so
I think we learned that lesson.
I learned it like 3 times, and it was with Bergen. I still remember, like, we had to call and get the spark relit, because
so pilot light and everything, huh?
Yeah, it was all out, and I think we had to go somewhere for like a meeting, and we were gone for like 3 days, and we came back and there was no heat, and it was during the winter. I still remember it was like we would debate on who went first because also it was the water. It wasn't the heat. It was the water was off. The heat for the water. And you have to take a cold shower. And so one of us would jump in. We'd scream because it's super cold. And then we run to the furnace and turn it on and put our blanket over us. And then we do companionship study. It was a very unique opportunity. I still remembered it to this day. Like it was freezing cold water.
Man.
But
I
remember that. Yeah, I remember that flat very well.
Yeah, the wind kind of blew through there.
It did.
Whistled through the windows. And you had to get the punch card from the post office and put your £5 credit in or whatever.
Yep.
Oh man.
I think you handled that, Jack. I don't remember that.
Oh, you never. Oh, so I did find out like halfway during my mission. All of a sudden, all this money was put into my account, and I was like, "What the?" And I got a call from brother. It was at Lemon.
Yeah.
Brother Lemon, and he was like, "Elder, just to let you know, we've been paying you wrong this whole time. We've been pretty much halving your allowance. And he's like, but just remember, it's the Lord's money. I was like, so this whole time, because there would be times like I didn't know why I didn't have enough money. I was like, I don't go out and eat or anything. But it turned out it was in Paisley that I found out that I've been getting only half.
Oh, wow.
So
You hit the lottery.
Yeah, it was a lot of money all of a sudden was deposited into my account. And he called me and just said, just so you know, it's the Lord's money still. I said, okay.
So I do remember going to the post office with you, though, Elder Hewlett. Maybe I was the one buying the punch cards, but you needed to conduct some transaction with the guy at the window, and you could not understand a single thing he was saying. And he thought you were making fun of him because you're like,
I don't remember that.
What? It's like, you're taking the mic. Taking the mic. I'm like, no, I need some stamps or whatever it was. So
I'm just a dumb American. It's too funny.
Yeah. I want to go back for a minute to the mental health thing, because I didn't realize till after the mission that I myself had struggled with depression, like before my mission and after my mission. Some, like, by miracle, not on my mission did I struggle with like suicidal thoughts. But before my mission, I thought it was normal. I thought that those thoughts were like something that everybody had. And I got home from my mission, I started having these thoughts again. And I was talking to my dad in like an interview with him. And I said, do you have these thoughts? And he's like, no, not really. And that was the first time in my life after the mission that I thought, like, this is not normal. And it took me years to go see some health services through the church and get some counseling that I needed to overcome that a little bit. But a mission is no joke. Like, that puts you through the ringer. And there's no shame in that. Like, it's a good thing to figure out and get taken care of, but it does take time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's something I just thought of as we're talking. You know, fortunately, I was blessed on my mission to not struggle with that while I was out there, but that's a miracle that for 2 years I somehow got a break without understanding.
It's interesting that, like, in today's world, I don't know if I would have been able to be a proselyting missionary. But as I was thinking about it, actually specifically says in my patriarchal blessing that I would be. And so it's interesting on how medicine has advanced and every different thing. But yeah, there's lots of opportunities.
They had in my ward this week a special focus on service missions and service missionaries. And I guess there's a huge initiative in the church right now on helping people identify things in which may limit them on the ability to go out and be in a proselyting mission, but showing them that there are other options that they can still serve, whether it's in a temple or doing family history work or things like that. And, you know, at the time when we all served, that probably wasn't even something that was on our minds. But now that there's such a huge focus on mental health, those things are becoming more and more to the forefront of people who need that or suffer from severe anxiety or depression, like you talked about, Jack, that can utilize those things in a way that we did when it came to proselyting in Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you guys know, I mean, how many times you're rejected, like from tracting 12 hours a day. And that wears you down.
It does.
You know, people ask me, what did I learn on the mission? And that's one of the things I always say is, like, I learned how to be rejected, how to hear no a lot.
And sometimes they were super unique as well. I've had some people come to the door. You're like, I still remember, well, we'll just say unique people that came to the door and then rejected you. And you're like, well, okay. And you had to make it fun. I mean, that was the other thing. Like, we were knocking on doors a lot during that time, or being on the high street. And you just had to have a positive attitude, even though you were being told no, or you were being talked to by Neds or whatever.
Yeah.
I've had weird, opportunities or events that happened. But you also have to look for the positive in the tender mercies, because there are plenty. I'm sure that all of us had those opportunities where we knew that Heavenly Father was with us and knew of our situation. And those tender mercies were very important to me.
Yeah, I think this is just my opinion, but for the missionaries that go to missions that don't baptize as much, I would say that it's because the Lord wants them to have that character, that rejection, like those trying experiences that you may not get in other places. And it was for me, but I'm sure that's probably true.
Yeah, we've heard that from several missionaries that we've spoken to from Scotland, because it was a majority of our time was spent knocking on doors, and that's because we weren't accepted in a majority of the time.
Well, and I've been able to talk to some of the people that we did teach that didn't get baptized, and the reason why they let us in the first place, and they all have their different excuses, but it was an opportunity for us to share our testimony of something that was super important to us, and they did listen. It just wasn't something that was for them at that time.
Yeah,
and that's fair, and we have friendships that continue, and if there's at least that seed, like maybe a missionary will come by and they'll let them in just to talk. Maybe they're not interested still, but they'll still let the missionary in because of the memories that we had before. You never know what circumstances will be provided by our Heavenly Father in order to change the hearts of men.
Yeah, I know there's definitely those experiences where I was testifying and the Spirit was testifying to me that what I was saying was true, to no effect on the person I was talking to, but it had that impact on me.
Yeah. I still remember, it didn't have an impact on her, but at the time it did. But I know it had an effect on Robert and I. We got a call. We were supposed to have a meeting with, their name was Michelle and
Anne-Marie.
And I still remember we couldn't get a hold of one of them. And Michelle was really concerned about Anne-Marie. And she had tried to stop smoking cold turkey, and her body so she was like in a paralyzed state. And I still remember going to her apartment and giving her a blessing, and she was just able to get up after, and she explained the feelings of that she felt as we gave the blessing and the impact that it had on her. But it was very temporary, of course, but it meant more to me seeing how it healed her. And that was very impactful to me. Like the church is true. The tools that we have, the priesthood and the Spirit, are real. We have these abilities that, it's Heavenly Father, of course, but we get to use it, and help people. And it's amazing. And so every little thing builds my testimony of this amazing work. If nothing else, knowing that those things do help, it's a testimony in itself.
Yeah.
I would agree too. And I think the other thing that the mission taught me a lot is that it wasn't really always about that new person. It was always too about having an impact on those that were in the church. So I don't know why, but I tended to gravitate towards the young men and the young women that were in our wards. And I served in Dunfermline as well, Nathan, and Tim and Dom Hudson are two of my closest friends to this day. And those young men, I saw Dom grow up, go on a mission, and he's still active in the church, and that brings me joy. Seeing Jordan and Josh Lynch being strong in the church, that brings me joy. Those are the types of things that I wanted to be a good example to those young men and the young women throughout my mission, so that they could say, I remember hanging out with Elder Hewlett and he made me feel good, and I want to do that for someone else. And that built their testimony to the point where they were invested in moving forward with faith, and that was a huge part of my mission as well.
When did you serve in Dunfermline?
So when I left Peterhead after Jack and I served together, I went to Dunfermline. I served with Elder Conway for 6 weeks, and then I was there for 4.5 months with Elder Littlefield, actually.
Okay.
That's another one. I served with him as well in Paisley. So
yeah,
and I'm just trying to think of when Rayfield got there, because he was there before me. And I came at Christmas time.
You probably replaced Littlefield.
I'm pretty sure I replaced Rayfield, didn't I?
No.
Yeah, so Rayfield went there and then also came back.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew he'd served there prior to me, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and then he came back, and he had, he came back after. So he was there, and yeah, that ward is just an amazing ward.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's chock full of unbelievable people.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So Ben, and what was his name? I can't think of. There's returned missionaries that were living kind of together.
Yeah.
And they made an African curry. And I'm pretty sure that's why my digestive system is the way it is now, is that African curry messed me up like for days. They cooked it for a few days and they're like, "Elder Reid, are you ready for this curry?" And I was just like, "I don't know." And then I ate it and I was like,
I'm not ready.
I'm not going to be able to do anything for a few days. But I'm pretty sure that's the reason why my stomach is the way it is now. It's because of that African curry.
I remember those two missionaries that had just come home, and I'm blanking on their names right now.
I would have to look.
Yeah, they were really, really high on wanting to help us, and there were 2 sets of missionaries when I was there, and I think they lived in the other set of missionaries area, so they spent a little bit more time with them than they did with myself.
So you didn't live in the apartment that was by the church?
Yeah, I did. I lived in the apartment that was by the train tracks.
Okay.
Well, there was there was the train behind us, but there was another apartment that was closer to the high street. And if you remember, the hike from our apartment by the train tracks to the high street was basically like climbing a mountain.
Yes, it was.
It was unbelievable.
Hey guys, I have to go get dinner with my family. So thank you so much for doing this, Jack and Zach. Really appreciate it. This is awesome.
You bet. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Appreciate it.
Good luck with a new job and everything. He got it. It's recorded.
Yes, he did. He did. Definitely. Yeah, I did love Dunfermline, and
yeah, great ward, great people.
It was a great ward.
Yeah, I love that, and I did a 6-week stint in Hamilton too. So, you know, Ryan and Aaron Wark were my guys.
Yeah,
and
I was only there for 6 weeks, but I got to know them very well. That family is fantastic.
One of my favorite people there is Winifred Terrett.
Is that the Catholic?
The sister that lived just 2 or 3 doors down from our flat.
Yeah.
And we'd eat there almost, I think it was every Sunday.
Yeah.
That we'd go, and she had a rule where every week someone else fixed dinner. So either yourself or your companion fixed your dinner, and then she'd fix dinner on the third. And I just enjoyed going to her home, because at that point in my mission, I was almost to my 1.5 year mark, and I had too many experiences where people at the doors would be like, "Tell me where that is in the Bible." And so I spent a lot of time digging through the Bible to understand things better. And so when I first met her, she was like, "Okay, let's talk the Bible." And I said, "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" And I had gone through it enough times to the point where I was fairly well versed. And she was like, "All right, we got a good one." And we had a really close relationship. I still speak to her to this day via Facebook.
Oh.
She's very active on Facebook, and so it's always good to hear from her and check in on her. But she's doing well, as far as I am aware. She hasn't joined the church, but she
did be one of the honorary, what is it called? It has the picture of Mary. You can open it up and it just has your name and your honorary something for the Catholic Church.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she gave it to me before I left.
You must have been the special ones, because I didn't get one of those. But yeah, I love Winifred.
No, I loved her.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So we played, because there was 2 sets of elders. So Elder Mason, Elder Rasmussen, and me and Elder Wood were together in that area. And we were teaching someone, and we played the bear game, which was one of my favorite games to play for like an icebreaker type thing. And Rasmussen did a fantastic job, but he didn't know what the bear game was at the time. Mm-hmm. It's where you make fun of one person at the it's a fun activity. One person is embarrassed, and you talk them into leaving the room, and then you have everyone together, and you're like, okay, the point of this game is to make that person roar really loud by themselves. So we're going to come in here and we're going to tell him he has to choose whoever is roaring the loudest out of us. And whoever he chooses, you're going to build him up and say, how could you guess that? And all that stuff, making him think that he's done something fantastic. And we did. And then that whoever he chooses goes out of the room next. And we're like, man, that was super easy. How did you guess? And then you pretty much say, okay, well, since you were able to guess so quickly, maybe you should be the one that roars the loudest this time. So they're not going to assume it's you since you just went out. And he's like, oh, okay. And then when you do the 1, 2, 3, and then no one roars except for him, and he did a fantastic job. Veins were popping out. He went into it, and then he like realized what was going on. And there's that little at the end. It's a great game, and everyone laughed, and he was a little bit embarrassed, but he got through it.
That's great.
Yeah, Craig's awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, goodness.
All right. Well,
wow.
Nathan, it's been almost 2 hours we've been on here.
I know.
Just blowing through the time here. Is there anything else you want to share or shout out or whatever before we wrap?
I mean, this is a fantastic thing, just with the opportunity to connect with so many different people that maybe we haven't seen in a long time. And it might even be people that are struggling. So I guess my only thing is, this life is a time to prepare to meet God. We're not here to be perfect. Sometimes we forget that, and we are comparing ourselves to others. And this is a time to prepare. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have challenges. And if you need someone, look to those that have been your friends in the past, and that are still your brothers and your sisters. We're all struggling, and we just want, our goal is to return to our Heavenly Father, of course, but it's to help people along the way. So if anyone is struggling, reach out.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate you and just the things you've shared, the memories that have been brought up. And I know for certainty that those that listen that are connected in some way, shape, or form are going to benefit from our conversation. So we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being asked to do this. Robert was like, would you be able to do this? And I was like, yeah, Monday I'm free. So I was really excited. So
awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Yeah,
right,
we love you, Elder Reid. Thank you.
I love you too. All right. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.